You click road trip and picture cheap electricity, but a few bad charging choices can turn that cheap trip into an expensive bill that looks more like gas money than savings. We're breaking down the real cost of road tripping in an EV, minute by minute and kilowatt hour by kilowatt hour. I'll give you the exact numbers, so how much home charging costs, how much public DC fast charging can cost, why charging losses and time of the day matter, and how battery wear from fast charging can sneak extra costs into the long run. By the end, you'll know when an EV road trip is a steal and when it's a slow leak on your bank account. Hello, I'm Shayan, an engineer specialized in electric vehicle development. Start with the baseline. How much energy do EVs use? Most modern EVs only need about 3 to 4 miles per kilowatt hour in mixed driving. So 100 miles cost roughly 25 to 33 kilowatt hour depending on the car and conditions. That's the math you use to translate electricity to miles. But the price per kilowatt hour is the real multiplier for residential electricity. In many places, averages in the low tens of cents per kilowatt hour. Roughly 12 to 18 cents per kilowatt hour in the US, depending on the state and season. Charging at home on off-peak rates where available can make long-distance energy cheap. But highway fast chargers are different animal. Public DC fast charging often costs significantly more per kilowatt hour. Think about 30 cents to 50 cents per kilowatt hour on many networks. That means the same 100 miles that costs you $4 to $6 at home can cost $9 to $25 on a highway top-up. Multiply that across several stops on a long trip, and the number adds up quick. Recharging on the road at peak network prices can double or triple your per mile energy cost compared with home charging. Now, the real world trip example. Say you plan a 600-mile trip and your EV averages 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. You need roughly 171 kilowatt hour of energy. At home rate of 15 cents, that's about 25-50 cents. But if half your energy, like 85 kilowatt hour, comes from DC fast chargers at 45 cents per kilowatt hour and half from home, your bill comes to around $51. That's double the all home cost. And if you use mostly fast chargers, the bill gets even heavier. The choice of where you charge controls the majority of trip costs. Here's the catch you rarely see in the marketing. Fast charging not only costs more per kilowatt hour, it also stresses the battery more. Frequent high power DC charging increases battery degradation, which shortens pack life and pushes replacement or lower resale value over the vehicle's lifetime. Recent big data studies show more aggressive DC fast charging correlates with faster degradation. Fleets and drivers who regularly rely on plus 100 kilowatt charging see higher annual capacity loss. That long-term wear is a hidden cost. Fewer dollars today on energy can mean more dollars later for battery repairs or earlier replacements. But cost isn't only money per kilowatt hour. The time is money too. A fast DC stop might cost more, but it saves hours compared with slow overnight charging. If your trip values time, you've got a tight schedule, or want to minimize stop time, higher per kilowatt hour prices can be worth the premium. The trick is optimizing where and when you pay the premium to cut the total trip time without wrecking your budget. Use long stretches of cheap home or hotel charging to build a baseline. Then use fast chargers selectively for shorter topping stops, where time matters most. Clean Energy Canada's analysis show EVs still beat gas on total ownership cost under many conditions. But trip patterns change the balance. Another real cost: charging inefficiencies and station fees. Charging isn't perfectly efficient. There's a typically 5 to 15% loss between the grid and the battery depending on the charger and temperatures. Some stations also charge per minute fees or idle penalties if you overstay the charger stall. Those fees can add $1 to $5 to a session or more if you sit while the car trickles. Avoiding slow, small top-ups and planning your plugs to coincide with the departure time reduces idle penalties and wasted time. Let's pull all the pieces together into the shocking reveal. A well-planned EV road trip is that maximized hotel or home charging and minimizes fast charging time can be extremely cheap, maybe $20 to $40 for several hundred miles. But a badly planned trip that depends on fast chargers with high per kilowatt hour rates and lots of small top-ups can cost $80 to $200 for the same distance. That's why the headline EVs are cheaper to run is true on average. but the reality for road trips depends on where you plug in. If you ignore pricing and sit at convenient, expensive chargers, you'll pay like a gas car or worse, and you'll accelerate battery wear too. So what's the practical playbook? First, charge at home before you leave and plan hotel stops with level 2 charging when possible. Second, precondition the battery before DC stops to reduce charging time and avoid washing kilowatt hours and avoid wasting kilowatt hours. Third, use high-powered chargers only where they save meaningful time and pick networks with transparent pricing. Fourth, be meaningful that using DC fast charging all the time speeds battery aging, which is a long-term cost many riders forget. Finally, run the numbers for your route. A quick per stop cost calculation is like this: kilowatt hour needed times price per kilowatt hour. This will save you surprising amount of money and help you optimize time versus money. Qmerit and other long-term cost comparisons show that home charging remains the cheapest option per mile and public fast charging is the premium convenience layer. If you want to learn more about the battery management system inside the electric vehicles, how it calculates state of charge or state of health and different characteristics of the battery pack inside the electric vehicles, you can click on the link in the description. Thank you.